Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and this is Create Your Own Cozy. On today's video, I am using one of the new IOD transfers that I was not initially drawn to. It's called Collage de Fleurs, and it is so beautiful and versatile. I am glad I gave it a shot. So I am grabbing 5 thrifted items from my stash or from last week's thrift haul and upcycling them to be more my style. If you want to see what I come up with, stick around. For my first project today, I was inspired by my friend Kristen at Simply Joy Creations by Kristen. She did this little cloche with this particular transfer, and you know what, guys? I just happened to thrift a cloche last week when I finally broke my thrifting fast. So I am using Americana, which is one of the DIY original cottage colors. This is still one of my favorites. It reminds me a lot of Apothecary. It does have a built-in sealer, so I kind of need to remind myself that it needs to be stirred really well before starting to use it, which makes everything just kind of commingle together and allows for a nice, beautiful, smooth finish with the top coat already built in. So I'm just using a little transfer stick from IOD as a paint stirrer and making sure that was stirred up really well, measuring my space and my flowers. These flowers are nice and big, so I wanted to make sure I got the right size, and I thought that this red looked really good with this Americana color. Just really quickly centered it and made sure that it adhered. After you roll it up and kind of see like it change color a little bit, you know it's adhering to your piece. Then I burnish it and seal it in with liquid patina, and this is a nice, simple, gorgeous upcycle. What do you guys think of this one? For project number 2, I grabbed that birdhouse that I showed you guys from last week's thrift haul. Got it for $4, originally from the wood pile at Hobby Lobby, but I just knew that I could upcycle it. I am feeling this Americana color today, so I went over the whole thing with 2 coats of Americana. The great part is that was already sealed. And then I went through, and I think my favorite flowers in this particular transfer book are these white ones. I mean, did anyone see that coming? So I wanted to subtly add some of these white flowers to this, so I just picked the one that would fit well on the top, and I did cut some stuff off of it, and then I decided, you know what, this would look really nice with a base. So I found a base in my stash that would go well with it that I had already painted white and just did nothing else with. So I'm just adding the transfers and trying to decide how many transfers I want on here. And then I'm realizing I don't know that I like the crisp, brand new look of this. And the first thing that I noticed is that I'm adding gypsy green on the base to kind of go with the leaves, and I am sealing it with liquid patina, and then I do end up adding a dark wax over the top of it so that the greens match a little bit more. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. Now the base is antiqued and old looking and the top looks brand new and painted. So here is what it looks in this stage with like an older looking base and a nice brand new top. And then I decided this is new to my collection and now I am selling it over on my website. So if I ever grab something for myself, I make sure I grab some for you guys too over at createyourowncozy.com. I am sanding over the top of transfers just to have that vintage look to the transfer. If you don't like this step, you don't have to do this step, but I figured it would go with the piece. So I'm going to use these vintage textures and just kind of put a crackle over the top. And since this is my first time, I'm like, let's see what this looks like. I can always paint over it if I don't like it, right? That's the beauty of paint. And I'm like, oh, I really like this crackle texture. I really like it. So I kind of went a little crazy with it. I'm like, is there such thing as too much crackle? So I just kind of used the remnants. I would reapply some ink in some places. But I really like how this gave this an aged look. I could sand it a little bit, but it was nice, clean, fresh, raw wood underneath. So that wouldn't really do a whole lot, but I decided to sand the edges, and on those edges I did use that wax brush. I didn't add any more wax to it. I just lightly went over these spaces to add some age to the edge as well. I really loved how this turned out. I have not technically glued these pieces together yet. Let me know in the comments below, do you think I made the birdhouse better by adding the stand? Or should I sell the birdhouse on its own? I think I like it together. Look at me working through my project pieces on my most recent thrift haul. This is the habit I need to get into. I got these for $1 a piece, and I got them because I was low in the 8x10 arena in my stash. So I went over them, Americana again. This would have been fine with a clay-based paint, one of the DIY paints, and wet distress it back as well. But what I did is after the second coat, I just took, while it was a little bit dry, took a dry paper towel and just kind of rubbed off the high spaces. And then I did add a wax to it. You can see the difference. I felt like it gave the whole piece a little bit more interest. Then I took the cardboard backing and I decoupaged. This right here is tissue paper from the gift wrap section at Hobby Lobby that I got a while back. But I am just trying to use up some of the stuff that I have. This did kind of curl a little bit because it is a cardboard backing that came with the picture frames, but it all worked out in the end. I am very carefully using liquid patina as my decoupage medium and just kind of working my way across. And then I found these gorgeous statement floral transfers and thought this right here is really cool looking. So after it was dry, oh, here's an example. You could use the courrier to get the same look if you didn't have this decoupage paper. I was trying to decide, am I going to put it straight up and down, or am I going to make the grid line straight so that it's kind of slanted a little bit. I went with like a slanted look for a more interesting approach. And just, I did not seal over the top of these since these would be behind glass, but thought this was such an easy way to make some interesting artwork in a thrifted frame that I got for $1. Project number 4 is using yet another frame that I just thrifted that had some damage or some clear cracks or parts that made it look not so great. So I went ahead and used air dry clay just as the same way I would use caulk if I was filling in holes while I was painting a wall or some baseboard. And I did like the finish of this frame, but after doing these repairs, realized that the whole thing needed to be painted. Originally, I was going to try to wet distress back to the original finish, but decided to bring out those beautiful details in another way. You can see right here, I got all the corners, I got all the stray pieces off, and as soon as the air dry clay was dry, it was time to add one of my favorite new colors, Plum Pudding, from the new color release from DIY Cottage Colors, and went over this. I did end up having to do a total of 3 coats, and it is because of all these little nooks and crannies. I thought I got every nook and cranny, and then I turned it the other way and realized that I didn't. But I am using my perfectionist brush. That is my best chance at getting in the nooks and crannies. And honestly, I was distracted in doing other things as well. So I am using Antique Gold Rub and Buff. I just love this particular shade. And how calming is this? I just put it down on my paper, put my finger in it, and just lightly rub over it, and then decide if it needs a little bit more. I ended up doing the edges as well, just haphazardly to try to, I don't know, just give it the look that I was going for. This is a much richer look, but I thought the Plum Pudding and Antique Gold look so good together. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm trying to decide what am I going to put on the inside of this. I feel like this frame is so fancy for me and wanted the inside to be very subtle. So I found some scrapbooking paper. Wasn't originally going to try to do some type of a trio, either 1 flower and 3 leaves. And then in the end, just decided, you know what, this little rosebud is perfect the way it is. And that's it. Simple artwork, amazing frame. What do you guys think of this one? For my 5th and final project, I had nothing else from my haul to stick a flower on, so I looked in my stash and I had this that I had thrifted for $2. Thought it would look really nice with just a floral on it. So I put that hammer under it so it was laying the way I wanted it so that my flower could be straight. And then got it in the center, rounded around, and just this simple little update just makes this a lot less store-bought and more custom to the space that you want. Now, don't forget all the paint, the DIY paint, and this particular IOD transfer and any of the stamps that I used or showed you are on my website at createyourowncozy.com. I'm so excited to have that going now. And I just wanted to remind you that just adding a little transfer to some items can make your space look so much more interesting. what did you guys think? Let me know your favorites in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out my friend Kristen, who is always inspiring me over on Sonnet's channel, Sonnet's Garden Blooms. She has launched a new podcast, and there is a video version so that you can see both of my friends shine and specifically see the heart of Kristen, whom I already love, and I'm so excited that there is now an avenue for you guys to be able to fall in love with her as well. If you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button, setting the notification bell to all so that you get updated every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to feed your creative soul, do some projects just for you, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Bye.